Hi, and welcome to week 6 of the Outdoor Classroom. And today we have our special guest, Eileen Forrester,
Hi there.
who has been working with me and took the program.
So, well, I was in the program in the spring
Yeah.
when we so rudely were interrupted by COVID, but I finished spring semester.
In 2020, spring 2020.
Yeah.
She's also the helper for the Herbal Pharmacy Labs. She is our lab tech. And so you might see her in the future. And
Hopefully
Yeah.
so. Hopefully we'll all be together in the future.
hopefully we'll all be together in the future. And she is here going to help our outdoor classroom, and we're going to make elderberry syrup today because elderberry is our herb of the week, and so is boneset. But we're going to mostly talk about elderberry, and we're going to make elderberry syrup. So here I have fresh elderberries, but I froze them because you have to harvest them piecemeal because they don't all ripen at the same time. And I throw them in the freezer until I'm ready to make elderberry syrup. And it is October 1st today, and my kids, when it started getting cold last week, had just started to ask me, like, where's our elderberry syrup? So it's time to start making it October 1st because flu season and cold season is coming up. And we have in here the frozen berries. There are some green berries in there because it's almost impossible when taking them off the stem to not get the green berries. And people will say that it's really dangerous to make your elderberry syrup with green berries, and that I am supposed to pick out every single one of those little berries in it because they could have hydrocyanic acid or cyanide compounds in them. And fortunate for us, we're going to cook our elderberry syrup. And so cyanide is actually broken down and dissipates into the air at 78 degrees. So that is why we cook our elderberry syrup, and you will not have it dangerous at all. And there's a lot of misinformation, as usual, with herbal medicine about how elderberry syrup could be dangerous, or that I have to take off every single stem because of the cyanide in the stem, which is not true because I'm going to cook it, and that will dissipate everything, and then I can strain it and get those stems out. So it is not as dangerous as many people say. And so as long as you boil it and heat it up to 78 degrees and leave the top of your pan off, you are going to dissipate any of those harmful chemicals in your elderberry syrup. And I start harvesting August 19th through about August 30th. Sometimes I start August 15th, and I just look around for when the berries are ripe, and I pull them off. I cut them off the tree and then bring them back and take them off the stems, and then freeze them. And then, so this was actually, I think this was like 3 weeks of me going out every day, and harvesting. I have a shrub in my yard, and this is about 3 weeks of me going out every day. I don't know how much it is, so Eileen is going to measure for us. So because we have to have ratios in the recipe, so she already put 1 cup in, and so we're going to do 1 bag. 2, 3.
This will make a nice big batch of elderberry syrup. 4.
You need to fill that whole cup.
6 and maybe
Just 7.
or just 7.
Just do 6.
All right, 6.
6 cups. So our recipe, so 6 cups. of fresh elderberries. Now, this is important. The difference between fresh elderberries and dried elderberries. Fresh elderberries taste better, hands down. Hands down. And if you can't get fresh elderberries, if you could buy frozen ones, they don't sell those yet. That would be a great market, would be like frozen ones. But they're still fresh if I freeze them. We still consider those fresh. And the difference is, if we were using dried elderberries, first of all, it tastes more bitter, the syrup does, and my kids have a certain taste that they like, and if you're gonna put elderberry syrup into children, you're gonna want it to taste good. But the fresh elderberries, you don't need as much water. And there's actually a lot of recipes. I just perused recipes online because I have mine, and I just wanted to see if mine is at all crazy. But there's, the fresh elderberries have water in them. And so for every cup of fresh, I just put a cup of water. And with dried elderberries, if you were to purchase dried, you would have to have 1 to 3. So 1 cup dried elderberries to 3 cups of water. And there's a lot of recipes I saw today with fresh elderberries that said 1 cup of fresh elderberries to 3 cups water. You will be boiling that all day to make it a syrup. So I do 1 to 1 on my fresh elderberries. And our other ingredients that we are going to do, so we are going to do 6 cups of fresh elderberries and 6 cups of water. Now, so far, everything on my recipe is free. Everything I've used, I have water and elderberries, and that is the beginning of our recipe. Everything is free. Now, elderberry syrup is extremely expensive in the stores. Elderberries grow in our environment. They are, you can grow them in your yard. You can wildcraft them. They are, they abound in our environment. So, first of all, I just want to say that everything on this list currently is free, free for the taking. The other things that we are going to do, and if Eileen, if you want to. So we have water and elderberries. If you want to cut up some fresh ginger root and take the skin off.
Take the skin off? Sure.
Yeah.
The
other thing, yeah, let's see how much. The other thing I like to add, and this is so a long time ago, a friend of mine brought dried herbs from Nice, France. I don't know why that matters, but I put them all together in a jar. Because they were, and this has been my elderberry seasoning mix, and so it's anise seed, I have to write this smaller, anise, fennel seed, oops, anise seed, fennel seed, what is my other one in there? See, cloves. And that is my little mixture. And I just throw this mixture in to my elderberry syrup with fresh ginger while it's boiling and cinnamon sticks. And now what is interesting about this with the elderberry syrup, you can add whatever you want to the elderberry syrup. And these herbs that are in here work to, they're mucolytics, so they thin mucus, and so they are actually going to help also with coughs, thinning mucus, and any kind of like plugged up feeling in the head. So they have other properties to them, this anise, fennel seed, and cloves. And it also makes the throat feel better. So we're putting in herbs. I like to put in herbs that have properties that help out colds and flus as well. So that is what these do. They're also heating and warming, and they make it taste good. And if you're going to make a syrup and try to use it when you're sick, you might as well make it taste good as well. Fresh ginger that we're going to use has properties of also being a mucolytic and makes it so it's not stuffed up. So we have fresh ginger. and cinnamon sticks. And the fresh ginger is going to be warming and heating, and it's going to also make it taste better. And what else about fresh? I mean, it's a mucolytic. It helps with colds and flus. It's anti-inflammatory. It makes the throat feel better. All these different herbs that we want to put in. Cinnamon is also warming, and the two, cinnamon and ginger together, are going to give an overall warm feeling. So we're thinking about winter time. So let's do this. Let's do this. Let's make it. Now the honey.
Right in the pan?
Yeah.
All right.
Now the honey, we don't add until the end because I use raw honey that has antimicrobial properties to it. I don't want to cook this, so we will measure this after the elderberry syrup has cooled.
And these beautiful berries.
6.
I wish I had had your recipe when I was making elderberry syrup earlier this year.
What happened with yours?
It turned out okay, but I put too much water in.
Oh,
I had to boil it quite a while.
yes, 1-to-1 on fresh, and they don't say that in those recipes. Yeah.
Oh, you had perfect amount of water. There we are.
And then-
Stir it up.
And then start it.
All right.
Stir it up.
Fragrance is wonderful.
So we've been cooking this for about a half hour, and it's still a little thin. It smells better, and if you come into Herbal Pharmacy Lab when we do the dried, these fresh berries do not smell as bad. Eileen and I were just talking about the fragrance.
Oh, fragrance is incredibly.
It does not stink up your house. Now tell them about your experience, Eileen.
So I have made elderberry syrup with dried elderberries, and anybody who comes into my house almost gags and says, "What is that horrendous smell?" And even though I use the same spices as Erica has used in this batch, the difference between the fresh berries and the dried berries is unbelievable. So wherever you can get fresh, that's the way to go.
The woods, the edges of fields. There's lots of parks actually. Just even in Minnetonka, or just like children's parks. And so I put my children on the play equipment and walked over and harvested berries.
Fun.
Because they're on the edges. I've done that. There's a lot of, all around our city, and you can start, what I do to figure out where to get elderberries is July 4th is when the elderberry plant blooms, and you can also harvest the blooms. And I just remember I was at this park and there was the elder flowers were there. But so the berries start coming the second week of August. So I just remember if I saw a spot that was full of elder flowers around July 4th, is it good?
We might need to turn it down a little.
Okay. We want
Looking
to
good.
boil just a little bit. Okay. I think we're good, and so we're gonna enter that. So the flowers are a remedy that you can harvest. So if you're looking for those, and those are diaphoretic and often given to people during the summertime for handling heat. And they can also be given for fevers, and so it helps the diaphoretic properties, and they smell and taste really good. But once you see them July 4th, you can remind yourself, like, oh, I saw elderflowers. I'm going to go back and harvest those in August. So look for those on July 4th. So we are now going to we've been smashing the berries with a wooden spoon. You could take a potato smasher if you wanted to. We are going to put the elderberries through a strainer. I'll do a big strainer first, and then we'll strain it.
Okay. So we're going to pour it through the sieve, get the berries out. Ooh, beautiful purple color. Oh. I think that's good.
That's our first straining. That's our first straining, just to get the bulk of it.
I'm going to put that in here.
Not yet. We want to smash it with a spoon, or
Yes.
yeah, just kind of smash them down.
I found elderberry on a horse trail out in Lakeville. I went hiking with my sister in Lakeville, and I'm like, oh, that's elderberry. So that was fun. So you're right, they are everywhere.
They are everywhere, and you can look for them on the edges of woods, any place that it's wet. You have to beat the birds to them.
Is that it? Or
Yeah,
one
that's
more?
good.
Okay.
That's good. We can put it right on top of that. So then we have this beautiful, we still have some seeds in here, so we'll do a second straining of this, but we can see this beautiful purple color. Now the dried berries end up being kind of a brown color, but the purple is what I love, and the purple shows that we still have the anthocyanins in it. It's going to have antioxidant properties to it as well. And so this needs to cool, and once it cools, and it's lucky it gets cold out, so we had to add on some layers here. And once it's cooled off, not too much, you want to add in the honey. So, and I like to use unfiltered raw honey, because raw honey has more properties to it. And since I had 6 cups of fresh elderberries and 6 cups of water, I am going to add 2 cups of honey. Roughly, because I like to taste it. And I like to kind of taste it and make sure that that's enough. And I don't like my syrup too thick, because I like my kids to just pour it down the back of their throats. And so if it's too thick, it kind of gets stuck in their mouth and their teeth. And so I like to have it like be a shot. And for the dosage for elderberry syrup, once you get it made, you do, for children 5 and under, probably not babies, but like from 1 to 5, you do 1 teaspoon. You can do 2 teaspoons from ages 6 to 12, and after that it's 1 tablespoon. And this is daily, 12 and up. 12 and up. And this is daily, dosage daily. And this can be, the elderberry syrup can be used as a preventative, and it prevents flus and viruses, the flu virus and other viruses, from actually being able to enter your cells, because viruses enter cells and then they replicate within the cells. And what elderberry syrup, and it's actually been scientifically studied, what elderberry syrup does is stop that attachment and the ability for viruses to replicate. And so we use this daily as a preventative against the flu. There are some flus that it does not prevent, which we had last year, but it's not 100%, like it's never going to be, but you are going to have less frequency. And if you do get sick and you do get a cold or flu, you're going to want to do this dosage 4 times a day. And then you will get rid of the flu. And what is shown is that a flu that normally lasts 7 days is going to last 2 days. And so it stops the length of the infection. So you will take this dosages 4 times a day if you are sick with the flu, and that's very helpful. So if you didn't use it as a preventative, you can use it during a cold or flu. So then you just up the dosage and do it more frequently. And yeah, I mean, there's lots to know about that. So let's do 2 cups. Let's see how hot it is. Actually, I think it's gonna cold. It's cold out here, so it might have let me just
I wonder if
see
we
here.
put it into a different.
Yeah, let me just see here how hot it is
Okay.
here. We're fine. Yeah, we're fine. It doesn't taste like much when there's no honey.
No.
Yeah, no. I'll get a new spoon for us. So we're gonna do 2 cups of honey. And this is actually 2 cups here, so I don't even know if I need to measure it, but we'll just measure for measuring's sake. It's like, maybe it's 1.5. I think this is completely 2 cups, this jar here. You might need a metal spoon.
Show me to run and get one.
Yeah. So honey is nature's antimicrobial. So it is sugar, and it makes it taste better, but there's healing qualities of honey, and honey is also a cough medicine and can help with coughs. Yep, I was right. This is 2 cups. Didn't need to put it in an extra jar. And it's too cold for the bees and wasps to come out today, so lucky me. Otherwise, I'd probably get some attention being out here with honey. And there's lots of herbs you could add to this. Some people like to add burdock root or sumac to make the color more red, sumac berries. I kind of keep mine plain, and then if my kids are sick, I add tinctures to it. So I tend to leave the good tasting herbs and then add herbs to it, like in a little sippy cup with my kids if they are sick. So I tend to not add. I just add herbs for the flavor and the cough. Almost there. And I do always have it very thin. Now, elderberry syrup can go bad because it's berries and honey. And honey does have antimicrobial properties, but because we have the berries in the water, it can start to ferment. And it'll turn into elderberry vinegar for you in your refrigerator and explode. So this is what I do with my elderberry syrup. And I don't make my full batch all at once. But what I do is I bottle up some. You need to keep it in the refrigerator. And the rest of it I throw in the freezer. And so I have some elderberries in the freezer. I have some elderberry syrup in the freezer. And then I have some elderberry syrup in the fridge. And it should last 1 to 2 months in the refrigerator in a bottle. Mine tends, because mine's more watery, tends to only last a month, and then it starts to ferment. So you really need to watch that. And I love honey. All right, stir it up. And we'll pick a beautiful, beautiful jar for your elderberry syrup. Find the most beautiful thing to put it in. And this is my elderberry syrup beautiful jar that I keep in my refrigerator for 2 months. And it's fairly thin, no?
Yep.
It still feels thin.
It's very thin. You want to put the string in there?
And I don't make it very thick on purpose. And I always We can add a little bit more honey because we have some more if you want to get that out of there. But I make mine fairly thin because they call it syrup, but I really enjoy, and my family enjoys the thinner one, and I don't like to cook it longer than a half hour. So here's our beautiful elderberry syrup. Oh, you're so good. Thank you. That one. Here, take this. There. That's fine. There we are.
Beautiful. It's
It's
beautiful.
really pretty. It's a really pretty color. I don't know if there's no sun today, but it's a beautiful, beautiful color. It's not too thick. Let's taste this. I gotta go get some things to taste this. This is the cups I give to my children. And what I do is I just fill them up, and these are like sipping cups. I fill them up with two teaspoons roughly, and then if they have a certain sickness or a runny nose, I can add other herbs to it, be it tincture or a tea, and then they just sip it, and it's delicious. Totally delicious. Totally delicious.
Really good. Really good.
Not too sweet, just sweet enough. So we have 25 ounces here, 16 ounces here, 8 ounces here, 4 ounces here. So 25 plus 16 is
41.
41 plus 8
49.
is 49 plus 4.
53.
53, and we may have like 2 ounces left here, but let's call it 53. And let's see, let's figure out the math on that. So we have 53 ounces from 6 cups of free berries, fresh berries, which were free, and 6 cups of free water, and 2 cups of honey plus spices. And let's, roughly I spent about $15 on spices. And we came up with 53 ounces for $15, which is roughly, Eileen,
Doing the math.
Doing the math.
It is 28 cents an ounce.
28 cents an ounce. So for your 8 ounces, that in the stores would be around $36. Well, it just depends on, it's anywhere from 28 to 36 depending on where you're buying it from.
About $2.25 for this bottle that we just made.
Yeah. So you can make herbal medicine as cheap or expensive in the world. It's super simple. You can do it outside if you are tired of being locked inside. You can do it outside on your cook stove with friends and social distance all at the same time, and really makes it cost effective. And so just remember, look for the flowers in July around the 4th of July, if you're out and about, go to parks. If you see the flowers, just remember around the second week of August, you can come back and start collecting berries.